Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about 7 reasons to know your worth. 7 reasons why it's important for you to know your worth. And I also have 7 bonus tricks that the enemy, the narcissists, use when you don't know your worth. All right. And so when you know your worth, all these good things can happen, right? And so my name is Dr. Cheryl Meyer. I am a psychologist. I'm at my office today, and I've been one for the last 20 plus years. So I come on here because I want to equip you, and I want you to know these skills, and I want you to know these so that you are not, look, what I wrote down well, I mean, you'll just see it, but when you don't know your real worth, it makes you a prey to the narcissist and to narcissistic abuse, or just abuse in general. And it creates this space for other people to take advantage of you when you don't know your worth. And so I got the idea today, and then I wrote down all the reasons. And so let's get into it right away. Okay, so when you don't know your worth, then your real worth. I wrote down your real worth. Okay, so we're not talking about inflated sense of your worth. I'm all this. I have this fancy car out there. I drive, I have this nice house or whatever. We're not talking about getting your worth from external things. We're talking about knowing your intrinsic worth. This is what's going to free you. Now, I welcome all religions, but sometimes I will bring up Christian ideas. I'll bring up other ones as well, just because I have a lot of people that, well, anyway, it's just what I grew up with and what I know. So I don't want to leave out what I know. And so if you want to understand it from that kind of perspective, and then just everyone else bear with us as we look at that, is like, you're created in the image and likeness of God. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. It says God knit you together in your mother's womb. That's in Psalm 139. It says he writes your name on the palm of his hand. God does. So he doesn't forget about you. You know, when you want to remember something, you don't want to forget. I remember that verse. It says that you are God's workmanship, which the Greek word actually is poema. So you are a poem. You are this living painting. You are this amazing being here. And so I did make a video a while back where I was just getting this inspiration of, because George MacDonald, there's this guy, C.S. Lewis, that wrote all the Narnia books, and he was best friends with J.R. Tolkien, and I love Tolkien, and I love Lewis. But Lewis said every one of his books was inspired by this guy, George MacDonald. Either directly or indirectly, he quotes George MacDonald. And one of my favorite George MacDonald quotes is, "Do not teach your children that they have a soul. Teach them you are a soul and you have a body." So we are in this body, right? We are in this body, and it's a gift that you have this body. So it's not to be taken advantage of, but you are what you are, and your essence is this soul. Jesus said in the future, people will worship, true worshipers, not that God needs anything, will worship in spirit and truth. And so God is spirit, and we are, and we're in this body. And so the more you learn how to relax in presence and be in your soul self, not being so hooked into and identified with your present day personality self, the more you experience all these things. It's like, right, look, there's the angel, and this angel up here that Charlie Mackesy drew, and he sent me these prints a long time ago, and then this couple right here, and then this father and daughter right here on the cover of my book, and this couple right there. It just is, and I have Van Gogh paintings behind me. And so let's get you in presence first, actually. I'll move you for a moment, because I just did this look. And so one way to do this, right? Look at her. This is like your deeper essence. So I'll go out here for a second. It's not, okay. And so what I do often is, and this is about knowing your real worth, is I stare at a tree. Look at the wind in the tree. And it just helps you know you're real. Look at the sun. You're real, your real self is like the sun shining. It's like, you know, even if you study atoms, if one of my best subjects in school was chemistry, even if you studied that, you'd know that in an atom, it's like 99% space. And so you are these vibrating atoms. You are God's consciousness in a body. All right. And so, all right, let's go to the 7 reasons. Just so, because once you're grounded in your worth and you know yourself beyond your name and your skin color and your, you know, the problems that are going on around you, whatever you've been facing, know yourself a soul with a name. I am a swan from now on. That's the video I had made. You can look that up too. Hopefully if I get time, I think it goes there. And so it's like, you're not the ugly duckling that people said in childhood from their own insecurities. If someone knew their real worth, they would never call you an ugly duckling. They would know that everybody has this soul worth and you are this. Okay, so 7 reasons to know your worth, and then 7 tricks of the enemy, if you want to know who the enemy of our soul is. But the narcissistic pattern and the narc abuse and just any abuse we've had, trauma from childhood, it's the same thing. It's the same pattern as the enemy of our souls, if you study that and you want to know about that. Okay, so 7 reasons to know your worth. When you know your real worth, like I named you, created in the image of God, all these things that Christ died to and resurrected to redeem you, to come for you, I was thinking of like a dice this morning. It's like Jesus took a chance on me. He took a chance. I get songs oftentimes to re-emphasize and teach us more about what we're learning, but Jesus came, it says, God became man so that man could become God. It's called theosis. The Greek Orthodox teach about that. Different denominations will emphasize different aspects of God, and so it's like you are, you have this opportunity to wake up to the divine nature that you are. But I won't get into, it's not anything weird. It is a mystery though. It is a mystery. But anyway, so let's go back to when you don't know your real worth, when you're disconnected from this. Oh, it's 7 minutes in and I'm talking about 7 reasons to know your worth and 7 tricks of the enemy, right? When you don't know your worth, you assume people around you are going to reject you. And so what happens with that is you're inadvertently assuming that others are dumb and cruel. They're ignorant of people's real worth. Oh, and so when you do that, other people around you feel that energy, if you want to call it energy. I'm not talking about anything new age. I'm just saying, like, okay, so Plato said that everything we learn is just remembering. And so when you are learning something true, you're remembering what your soul already knew, because we came out of God. God created us. And so anyway, so when you're living a lie, which is that you ought to be rejected and you're worthless and you don't know your worth, that's low vibration. When you're in highest consciousness and highest love, then you know your real worth. And it shines and it emanates from you. And you're like, Jesus said, you are the light of the world. He said, I am the light of the world. But he also said, you are the light of the world. And so when you don't know this, you're not shining. It's shut down. Anyway, so let's go into these 7 reasons. Is 1, when you don't know your real worth, you're projecting onto other people that they're going to reject you. And that's communicating to them, because, like, you know, what they say is like 85% of our communication is nonverbal. And you're not meaning to do this. But understand, you could take out your notepad if you'd like to take notes on this, and understand that you're pushing other people away. You're repelling them because you're saying, because you think you're an annoyance or not worth being here or rejected or whatever, you're insecure about that. You're saying, I doubt that they will accept me. I doubt that they will see my worth. I think that they're going to reject me. And out of that, that's projecting on them that they don't know the truth about the real value of people, and that they are going to, that they're cruel. Basically, they're cruel because it's cruel to be rejecting, and we are assuming they're going to be cruel. And so that that pushes them away because they feel like, if it's like if you came up to someone and says you're dumb and cruel, right? Like, why would you be like, yay, I can't wait to be around you? And so I wrote down that that's why we're generally attracted to confident people, because they seem to see the best in us. They see at least that they assume that we're gonna value them, and that's just a loving thing, you know. And it doesn't mean everyone will value us, but just to keep going on the old rejection script. One of the main reasons, I'll get into these 7 reasons, but the main reason why this doesn't work, you're not in alignment with what's true. And so it's based on egotism. It's not based on real, deep, higher truth. I'm just hearing in my mind Aslan, you know, probably because I talked about C.S. Lewis earlier, and I was reading his book, this book of his too, before this, but this is from the Narnia books. In the first Narnia book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, he says, if the witch had known the deeper magic and gone way before the dawn of time, she would have, it's just 11:11 when I was saying that, she would have known that an innocent person couldn't be kept down, would come back. He said this to Susan and Lucy when he came back, that her cruel ways wouldn't work. So anyway, all right, so let's go into reason number 2. So the first reason is because you really want to know your worth. Otherwise, you're unconsciously pushing people away and calling them dumb and cruel by your subconscious belief of a lie that you've internalized. Okay, 2, if you don't know your real worth, you'll spend all this time, I came up with all these P's, posing, posturing, and putting on masks, jumping through hoops, trying to prove your worth, trying to prove something that's already true. All right. And so it's like, I'll do this. If I'm always posing, you know, and going, look at how strong I am, right? And, or trying to prove, like, oh, look, that's the cover of my book. It is. But it's like, if I'm trying to prove this worth, it gets old because I don't need to. What if I spent 20 minutes trying to prove my worth instead of just getting to these points so that we have them in our lives, right? Like, you have to sometimes in this world say something of your credentials, but you can't base your worth on those things. I'm worth even if I'm not Dr. Cheryl Meyer. I'm worth because I had to live this crap. Like, that's the clinical term, crap. Now, and I know it, and I want you to know it. I want you to be free in your life. I don't want you to be stuck. I want you to know yourself like this wind, you know. The word for the Holy Spirit is in Hebrew, it's Ruach HaKodesh, and Pneuma in Greek. And so it's like, you'll know this God in you by like this still small voice, the small wind. It's like that, you know. Anyway, the breath. Anyway, and so if you don't know your real worth, I kept getting this image. You'll be going around in circles, wasting your time. You're wasting your time trying to posture to prove something that's not provable. You can't prove this to other people. This is a knowing. The more you learn how to shift into this knowing, the more you see yourself like this work of art, and you're like, wow, I didn't know these gifts were in me. I didn't know I could actualize these in this life and give back to other people in such an impactful way. If you look at the book of Revelation, George MacDonald has this thing called an unspoken sermon. I think the sermon's called The New Name. And one of my other videos, this 2-hour-long video that says you're forgiven no matter what on the cover, and it's this man tossing up his child and catching, you know, and this woman. And in that, look at in the comments, I think I have the link to, I have this link to all of these things in the pinned comments. And I think the new name. So in the book of Revelations, it says that everyone will get a white stone and your God name will be on it. So your name, you have an individual name that only God knows, that you are an expression of God in this earth, on this earth, in a different way than every single other person, just like every fingerprint's different and every snowflake's different. And so you are that. And so on the side, I'm just teaching you about your knowing as we go through 7 reasons to know your worth. So if you don't know your worth, this is number 2, is like, you don't know your worth, you're going to be wasting your time, spending all this time posing, posturing, you know, trying to get over other people and being competitive when you don't need to be competitive, because you are your own sunshine. You are this beautiful being. You're a masterpiece of God. You're like this sculpture, and it's like we don't have to compete with any other sculpture, any other painting. So you'll be busy posing, posturing, putting on masks, trying to pretend like you're someone important when you already are important. You're so important that Jesus came himself and experienced taking on all of mankind's sins and letting them crucify him, only to resurrect so that we can have a resurrected life. But you don't have to, you know, I welcome all people. I believe that. I have this understanding that God's our creator. And so you are my brother and sister in that. Like we are all created, and whether you know all of that stuff or you don't know all this stuff, I want you to know your real worth, right? That can help you to come to higher truths and a higher sense of consciousness and a higher understanding of what love is. Sometimes we're blocking love out. So that's one of the, I'm sure that's one of these. I'll see what I wrote down. But okay, so number 3, okay, and I was already touching on this a bit. When we don't know our real worth, then spiritually and in our physical life, we don't wake up to the gifts that God put inside of us. They stay buried. Our gifts and talents stay buried because we assume rejection and worthless. We can't imagine something so big and beautiful like the gifts that are inside of us. Like if I didn't let go of my old sense of worth enough to go, wait a second, I have this knowing that I have gifts and talents inside of me, besides just all the schooling and the education I got. I had to just be like, I'm allowed to use my voice, and I ought to use my voice because my voice makes a difference in people's lives. If I didn't believe that, if I was so stuck on my old image of my worth, then you wouldn't be getting this video, and you wouldn't be getting all the freedom that's going to come after this video and in this video. You know, I'm seeing these roses in the background. It's just like, you're this rose that can bloom, and you don't know the smell you have. You don't know the beauty that you just are in this world just by being, instead of diminishing. Like, how are you going to get an understanding of me or of my gifts if I bury my talents? And there's a parable about that. Understand that's part of the mystic insight of what that parable is teaching. The one guy buried his talents and the other person multiplied them. The other 2 people multiplied them to varying degrees. So you're meant to multiply them, not again because God needs anything from you. God is not a narcissist. God doesn't need anything. It's because God is expressing, God is beyond him or her, like himself, herself, the beauty. God is love. God is expressing this love through you, right? Drop down out of your heart, out of your head into your heart. This is your heart's knowing of yourself. And your mind can know this too. So we're understanding logically. When you don't know your worth, you don't wake up to your spiritual gifts and your physical gifts, and your purpose, your reason for being here. It's diminished, it's shrouded over, and so you don't see that as much. And so I put the gifts that God put inside you, they stay buried, because we assume rejection, because we're playing that old record. Oh, okay. And so when I was writing this down, I met Michael W. Smith when I was at camp, when I was little. I was doing this dance and he popped out behind us, and we thought everyone was cheering for us, but they were really cheering for this musician. But I remember he sang a song that's like, one thing I know, everybody has a seed to sow. What was this song that he popped out singing? I forgot. You can take it to the top. No way. You can take it to the top. Like I can't remember all the dance moves. I was like 13 or something. Give it all you've got. Never give them all you need. Say you can reach the highest star. Be all you really are. Wow. I can't believe that it just came up. It's like, so take it to the top. Like there's other people here, so I can't like full out sing. There's other therapists. I'm a psychologist, and there's anyway. So anyway, But that's when you get in this heart space of love and you forget the rejection, stop identifying with the rejection, even though it's like a warm blanket. You know, I know Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about the brain chemicals that get released. You get like a dopamine high or some kind of brain chemicals released when you go back to this old blanket of rejection, because it's something you knew. I'm so good at being rejected. And so it's like, you doubt that you're going to have confidence in being great at anything else, because your worth is not based on you being great, but you think you have to be great because you were rejected so much. You know, you think you have to be brilliant every time. And so it keeps you from just knowing your real worth so that you can take it to the top. Thank you, Michael W. Smith. Anyway, and so that was number 3. Now, number 4 is when we don't know, you or me or any of us don't know our true worth, we become self-focused and we don't even realize it. We don't want to be self-focused. We're so focused also on not rejecting other people. And sometimes we, you know, it's like, I see punches. It's like someone punching us in the face, and like we keep going, oh, I don't want to reject people though, because my highest goal is not rejecting people. And it's like, no, sometimes where it's important to say no. It's like, no, you choose to keep punching people. I'm not letting you in this building. We have the right to refuse service to anybody. It's like, no. So that's just a bonus why you ought to know your real worth. Okay, so we're self-focused because we learned in childhood, we learned in this early age to always have this shield about ourselves from the impending rejection that's about to happen. And so we're defensive. We're not letting love flow through us, right? Just like when I let go and I'm roller skating, I feel this sense of like peace and zen and zen. I was just listening to a class right before this, a live class that was going on, but it was a recording for part of it. But Eckhart Tolle was saying Zen is just one Zen master defines Zen as just this: not telling people what to do. You're just present. You're just aware, alert presence. You're knowing your isness that God created. God let you develop this personality around you, but I am not the rejected self. You are not the rejected self. That is not you. But if you want to get an identity from that, it's just like if I have my cowboy boots on today, but it's like if I had my dock boots on the other day. So it's like, well, they're not dock, but if I have these, you know, punk boots on and I have a mohawk, it's like I can identify myself as that, or it's like, no, I'm the person underneath that. That's cool if I have wild hair or wild shoes, but I'm not my shoes. I'm not my failures in life. I'm not my successes. I'm not my education. Those are just parts of the dress that I wear, the clothes that I wear. And, you know, we can use that. Let's use, like, of course we want to use all my education that we can possibly use that can help us in this moment, right? To come to this deeper awareness of our true self. Okay, and so when we don't know our true self, we don't know our true worth, we're self-focused and we don't realize it. We don't want to be self-focused, but you're so focused on when's the next rejection going to happen? Oh, that person's rejecting us. It's like if there were, they say this all the time, if there were like 100 people in the room and one person rejects you, you keep focusing. This is our survival brain. So be compassionate toward yourself, but identify, be knowledgeable. Not when you know more, when you know better, you do better. It's like be knowledgeable and understand that if I was like a cave person or something, and there's like 12 giraffes and butterflies and whatever, and let's say the giraffes aren't going to hurt me, and then one tiger, of course I'm going to focus on the one tiger because I have to figure out how to survive and get, you know, to higher ground or whatever, get away from the tiger because I don't want to die. And so what happens is you develop neural pathways, brain pathways, where you keep thinking in that old primal survival brain, like, I have to look out for rejection. Who's rejecting me now? If I kept focusing on who's going to reject me or who's going to give me a negative comment, you know, then it could discourage me so much that I stopped making videos. And then again, you wouldn't have had these tools for yourself today. And so it's not letting the love flow through. You're blocking the space for the love to flow. And we're not at ease. We're always or oftentimes waiting for the rejection around the corner. We're just looking for it instead of just like, don't just be in love. Like, this is love. God is love. Be in that. Be in love. No matter what's going on around you, you have the choice. And I kept getting this song, actually, this week I kept getting this song that I remember my parents having. I think we had it on a record player, right? And it's this girl that sang it in such a weird voice, but it was like, the joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. And it's a verse, all right? And so it's like, oh yeah, that's my superpower. Not fake happiness, because I cannot stand fake happiness, you know. But really knowing that you can be in joy. It's your real essence is joy. St. Paul said something about count it all joy when you face trials and temptations of various kinds. Maybe that was James. For you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, and perseverance develops your character, and character develops hope or something, and hope cannot be taken from us. Because you're actually, it's developing to put your hope in something that's real, not in something that's superficial. Like, back to the number 2 is, if I'm always posing and posturing and putting on masks and trying to prove myself and working 70 hours a week trying to earn more money for my bank account, you know, and it's like, how is that going to how is that going to get me any closer to knowing my real worth? Actually, it keeps me going here instead of up, okay? And so number 5, so we have 7, we're on number 5. When we don't know our real worth, we're blocking love because we're so expecting rejection. This is kind of what I was talking about right before, that we don't recognize someone who is offering love to us. Oh, and when I was writing that down, I was friends with this musician, Elliott Smith. I loved him very dearly. And anyway, we shared a lot of time together before he's passed away now. But I sang a cover of one of his songs. I took it off though. I might ought to put it up back now, because I didn't want people going to this low vibration place or low consciousness. Christ is always teaching about highest consciousness and lived highest consciousness. Go figure, right? And so it was like, won't you follow me down to the Rose Parade? And it goes into all these lyrics. Yeah, I was going to do a lyrical teaching today on that, but it was like, tripped over a dog with a choke chain collar and traded a smoke for a food stamp dollar. It's beautiful. It's one of the first songs I heard him ever sing. And it just woke up all of this imagination in me. So he's brilliant. He's a brilliant musician. Was really, really funny as well. And so, but one of the lines in the song is, when they clean the streets, you know, after the parade, I'll be the only blank that's left behind, right? I'll just leave it blank in case kids are around, or I don't know what people's boundaries are, but it's just like, because what he experienced, you know, he's talked about. I think I have said in some of my other videos, but I don't want to say what he personally experienced if he didn't share it publicly. And I don't know, I didn't go look up a bunch of interviews because I got to be with him. But I know he knew about abuse. And so it's like, when you see other people getting abused or you experience it, you feel like you're just, you know, just something that someone wipes off their boot. And you're so much more than that. That was just the experience you had. And so that's the old record playing. Look at it like a record that's playing from your childhood. And you can take that record off, break that record, give it up to God, surrender it up, and stop identifying with that just because you're so comfortable in that identity. It's like if you were always punk rock and now you get to be something different, you know. And I'm not saying punk rock is bad, because there's a lot of good in punk rock. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying you're more than punk. If you're punk, you probably know that you're more than that, you know. Anyway, so it's like, learn the discipline and the practice of, oh, That's the old rejection script. That's the old rejection record. That's what I took in when I experienced someone crushing me in childhood and rejecting me all the time. That's not my true worth. They weren't acting according to what my true worth is, or I wouldn't now see that that was wrong that they did that. Is it something that you would do to your own child, that you love and adore and cherish and want to protect? Like, no, you wouldn't do that. And so that it was wrong to do to you. And so then also deduce from that, take the logic and go, it's not true for me to take in the identity that came with those actions. All right. What I'm saying, these are very, very deep truths that it took me hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe $1 million, because I know that we were paying for therapy and we had to move out of our house, me and my husband and my kids one time, because my therapy was so expensive and other expenses too. But it's like that house is worth so much more money right now. If we had stayed in that house, like, I know that it's like the money I spent on therapy and the money we lost because of making that investment is definitely worth at least $1 million. So know that someone that's speaking to you is speaking to you of, if you want to look at dollars, as like $1 million invested in getting these truths. So these are not easy truths to come by. And they're all free right now. I'm going to make this video because it's an American holiday this week. I was like, oh, I'm just going to give a gift back to the world, right? That's what I'm going to do. And I have 900 plus other videos that are free to the world too. And I'm saying this in different ways, but this is more organized. Today we get organized. Yay. All right. So we block love. So if someone else is coming in and wanting to love us, right? Wanting to be loving to us genuinely, if we think, oh, I'll be the only crop that's left behind. Elliot, I got this experience. I can say this because this isn't telling his own story. My friend and I, and I'll tell it really quickly because we want to get to these other points, is my friend and I were sitting with Elliot at this bar and in LA, and we're having like the deepest, most profound, one of the most profound, I was in my 20s, conversations ever in my life, right? And he's like, because he was drinking a bunch of beer or whatever he was drinking, he's just like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. But you guys can leave if you want. And I said to him, like, Elliot, we're having one of the most beautiful conversations I've ever had in my life with anybody. Like, you're so conscious. And I didn't get to tell him you're so conscious, but it's like, why would I ever leave? He was so always so precious to me that I never wanted to leave, right? Because it was such a privilege to know such a conscious person. I knew him like before he got super famous, right? And anyway, but that's it. It's like you're pushing out love. It's really, people want a genuine friendship with you and love. They don't need anything from you. But if you keep identifying with, I'll be the only crop that's left behind in this parade that they sweep up, you know, then it's like you push other people away that really do want to love you. All right. So that's your choice. That's your choice. Just like it was his choice. Right. And that's another thing. And when you don't know your worth, that's part of the posing and trying to prove yourself. You feel so insecure about that all the time. And you don't like feeling that shame of rejection. So oftentimes we'll go to addictions. We'll go to drink a lot or eat a lot or watch TV because everything works out in the TV shows. And so we keep numbing our shame by feeling the temporary highs of addictions and the TV shows and trying to make a bunch of money and all of those other ways that we are trying to prove ourselves, instead of just, why don't I just shift back into my knowing? I'm going, wait, if God created me, if Jesus came to this earth to redeem us, even if you don't believe in Jesus, it's like you can still see his actions, and what he said is like, I came here to redeem you so that you can have eternal life and be reconciled to a perfect God. So you don't have to be perfect, because we can't be perfect, you know. We can always find another reason to reject ourselves. Okay, so that leads us to the next one is lies. When we're not believing our true worth, we're believing in a lie. And Jesus said, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. I hope this video sets you free. All right, make sure to push the like so other people know to watch this video, because they look on surface things, right? And make sure to push the share button and share with people later. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because this is what I'm always talking about. I always want to be sincere. I always want you to know the deepest truths and highest consciousness. And it doesn't matter at all what religion you are. I hope that you accept when I teach truths from the way sometimes that I know it, because I'm just teaching these higher truths, and this is just one of the ways that I teach it. But anyway, so subscribe, and you're so welcome here. I don't want to reject anybody, but I will set boundaries if you're if you're cruel to the people around or about the videos or whatever. Constructive criticism, yes, but anyway, welcome, welcome. Come on in. That's what Latoya says. Come on in. Come on in. All right. So lies are low consciousness and presence. When you're in deep presence and love, right? Here, I'll get this thing for us, right? I have this thing from like 6th grade. God is love. Yeah, look. I think it says Hallmark cards at the bottom. I'm not sure. It's really small print. Oh no, there's a Hallmark plaque at the back, right? And so it's like this 80s thing. I wonder if it says the year. But I got it when I was little, and it's a verse, 1 John 4, God is love. And so when you're in alignment with love, it's in Colossians 3:2, it says, set your affections, set your mind and your affections. In the Greek, it's phroneo, but it's like, be aligned with, be harmonious with, on things above, not on things of this earth. Don't give your identity away to this rejection that you've known all your life that keeps repeating, because you keep having a sign that says, please don't reject me, or I'm worth rejecting. And you don't realize you're wearing that sign because you're trying to get over it. It's like you keep trying to take that shirt off, and there's another one that says it underneath, right? And so I want you to be able to burn that shirt in the trash and never put it on again after this video, right? I'm not talking about any other videos. This one, all right? I want you free, but this is your choice. I can't want it more than you want. Okay, so God is love. And so God, this is high vibration. If you think of highest consciousness is God, right? When you're in this expanded state of knowing your deepest self, your highest self, your redeemed self that Christ cleanses. It says in Psalm 51, I will wash you and you are whiter than snow, right? This is not the rejected self. This is the love. This is the made in the image and likeness of God. This is the truth. So another reason, this is number 6, that it's important that you know your real worth, is that lies are low vibe and low energy, and they make us critical. And they cause us to focus on the bad in ourselves and the bad in other people. And people don't like that. It pushes them away. Like, why? Like, please, tell me all the bad that I already feel like I know about myself. Like, people don't want to see that. And then the song that kept coming to me was the Coldplay song. Look at the sky, see how it shines for you, and everything you do. And it was all yellow. I won't sing the whole thing because that's theirs. I'm quoting their lyrics. I hope it's okay to quote their melody. I hope they they appreciate that it gets to be in this teaching video that I'm giving out for free, because I'm not making any money on YouTube yet. And I don't know, I might switch it so that I won't ever, I'm not sure. They're making money by putting ads, but anyway, I really appreciate your presence. I'm so glad that you, even if one person sees this, I'm so glad that you, and I hope you get freedom in your life, but it's so great that all of the work and the pain that it took anyway, I get emotional, for me to work through all this stuff enough to show up in a video, right? And not be afraid to be in my body. I didn't like my body before. And to just show up as another person here, as a fellow human soul being here for you. Like, it's such a joy that you get to have this. I'm seeing them again. When you're in this love vibration, you see love everywhere. When you're in this, oh no, I'm going to be rejected, please don't reject me. Oh, I can't reject anybody. I can't have boundaries on toxic people that choose to stay addicted to their toxic behavior. I'm not calling them toxic people. It's like love the sinner, not the sin. But so you can love them, but love them at a distance if they don't choose to respect boundaries. It's not, you're not rejecting them as people. You're saying, I choose to show value to myself, just like you wouldn't put your kid in a lion's den and be like, oh, I hope they don't bite my kids, you know what I mean, or eat them. Like, we're not going to do that. And so you get to have boundaries with yourself. That's another thing, is when you don't know, that'll be in the narcissistic part, right? When you don't know your real worth, then you put up with stuff like that you ought not to, that you'll have a higher standard because you know you're worth loving, you're worth protecting, you're worth cherishing. Now you don't get you're not in this egotistic, I'm all that, I have to prove that I'm all that, and go get a spa day and then you'll know your worth. It's like, no, you know your worth. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take a day off to just relax and be, and I don't know, you know, you will take care of yourself, because just like you take care of your kids, because you know they're worth it. You are worth, love your neighbor as yourself, right? But love God first. It says, seek first the kingdom. Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God, and then all these other things shall be added unto you. And seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, which is the right way. All we're learning right here is the right way of being is aligned with truth, aligned with love. Know yourself as loved, as cherished. That's true righteousness, and Christ always lived that way. That's why death couldn't keep him down. He defeated death. You know, he defeated it. It's profound, really deep mystery. I keep seeing it like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, someone won us the golden ticket, and we can have the chocolate factory now in our lives and eternally live in the chocolate factory. But if we keep chasing for money and stuff, then when we go into the chocolate factory, it's kind of like all the other kids showed that they wanted egotism, and so they couldn't accept the chocolate factory. This is what I look at salvation like recently. It's just another way for it to be expressed artistically. Pure imagination. Yeah, you know, that song comes to my mind. I love it. We begin. Okay, and so the number 7 reason. So this video is like, I plan to hashtag it 77. Let me put the hashtag here, because there's 7 reasons for you to know your real worth, and 7 tricks that the enemy uses. And so number 7 is, it blocks your faith. It blocks your faith. It blocks your knowing that God has a higher perspective of you. Divine love has a higher perspective of you that you are meant to know. Hold on. Aw, that's so sweet. Someone I just met. Okay. I didn't turn my notifications off. Sometimes I'm live, so I have to keep it live, but I'm not live right now with you guys. But someone I just met went and I won't say where I met this person, but I met online in a group, went and found my YouTube channel. And so anyway, it's just the sweetest thing. I'm going to be confidential. But it's just like knowing that you can be love and a blessing to somebody else, or like, just, you don't have to say religious words. It's not like a blessing. It's just like you're bringing more love into their lives. It's such an honor. All right. And that's so cool that this person got to be a part of this video, right? When we're knowing our worth. All right. And so, it blocks your faith of you knowing this higher perspective, this higher truth that you were blind to. You didn't realize you were blind. Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead, and let the blind lead the blind. You know, you come and follow me. Once this love is revealed to you, I don't care if you've never heard it before, take this high path. You know, that's your choice. You get to choose that now, and you never have to go back. He says, put your hand to the plow and don't look back. Don't look back, because you're making these lines in the sand now, right? Where seed can be sown. And if you look back, you keep making crooked lines. And so we don't have to look back. We just go, oh, that's that old record. Let go. That's that old record. No, look at the sky. See how it shines for you, right? Take it to the top. Everybody has a seed to sow. Follow me down to the rose parade. I know there's a higher meaning in that too. Just like these roses. Oh, there is. Roses. I kept seeing roses everywhere. And I knew Elliot's song Rose Parade, but rise, open your soul eyes. That's a rose. A rose can remind you. Take me down to this rose parade where you're seeing Elliot's gifts, even though I don't encourage people to go into the low vibe place. All right. And I'm not talking new age, low vibes. It really is. We are vibrating consciousness. So you can be vibrating love and joy and peace, this peace that passes understanding, or you can go back to the lies, and people don't want to be around lies. And so we become like what is that called? A prophecy, like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because we keep saying, I'm only worth rejecting, and then life keeps giving us back, you're only worth rejecting. And so you have to, in order to leave that realm, you have to stop believing that lie. You're putting your faith in that lie. When that's what I was saying, the number seven, of course, seven's like a holy number. Like God created all the world in 7 days, or 6 days. The seventh day was important because he rested. And God is beyond he and she. Because Psalm 27 says, when my father and mother reject me, the Lord picks me up. The I am that I am, the word for Yahweh, that's the word there. When it's ever capital L-O-R-D, it means the I am picks me up. So God is more than your mother and father. This is the biggest love you could ever be around. But you can know this, not by me talking about religious stuff and showing you a plaque of 1 John 4:7. Like, God is love. Just be in this presence. Remember the wind blowing in the trees, or just the love that you've ever seen. If you've ever seen love and ever given love, just keep going back to that moment. And you're not looking back, you're living. Let the love flow through you. All right. Get in line with whatever truth you can know, the highest truth you can know in this moment. And be committed. It's a discipline. This is a discipline. It's taking you very, very hard work to let go of the old lies. Keep letting go of the old lies. Oh no, that's a lie again. All right. And so that you're not knowing that God truly loves you and chose you and gifted you and died to redeem you. Okay, so let's go. I think next, I'm used to spending an hour with clients, so I had a feeling this might be an hour, even though I was trying to get it closer, because some people see an hour and be like, I can't. But just, I can't be your psychologist on YouTube, but I am a psychologist, my day job, so we can consider this a coaching session or whatever. I'm just talking to you as a person, because legally this is just entertainment purposes, because I don't know. Anyway, so let's go back to when you don't know your real worth, then you make yourself prey and an easier victim to narcissists and narcissistic abuse. And the enemy of our soul, if you want to understand, I think it's in C.S. Lewis's book, Mere Christianity, which is free online, because it was a BBC talk first. He talks about how, it might be in that or another book of his, I read it in his book, it says, the devil would love for you to believe that he doesn't exist. But Ephesians 5 and 6, I think 6 says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and evil forces. And we see it in the collective consciousness. If you want to study Carl Jung and how there's a collective consciousness, and also it's like how the world, look at our systems of rule, I'll just say it like that, I won't say certain words, and systems of, I won't say the other systems, but there's other systems that operate in our world, and the more they're after money and just chasing money, the more they're in egotism, the more they're narcissists, the more they reflect the nature of the devil, which Jesus said, I saw him fall like lightning from the sky, and he's a liar, and his native language is lies. So he loves everybody being in the lies with him because he believes his own lies. So he wants you to be in a lie, and you'll see. But you don't have to believe in that to get all these truths, because I want you free in your life, no matter what your spiritual beliefs are. And so, but for those of you who are believers and stuff, and understand this is how the devil puts his boot on you and keeps you trapped and keeps you not living a full life in Christ. And so, because he comes to lie, kill, and destroy. No, kill, steal, and destroy, right? And he is a liar. And so look at these 7 tricks that the enemy or the narcissist, the abuser, the toxic relationship that we keep going back to until we stop going back to that, the toxic relationship we go back to on ourselves, that I'm teaching you how stop being this mean narcissist in yourself and being abusive to yourself by giving yourself the rejection record when you can let go of that record, you know? I like that other song by Ella Fitzgerald, Blue Skies shining at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. All of my songs, all of my roller skating videos, like even if you don't listen to like the teaching videos, watch all of those, because I'm only sharing those so you can see this higher perspective, so you can be here in this loving place with me, in this beautiful space like them, right? I'm just sharing that space with you so you can look in an artistic way, so you don't have, my songs are like, you know, anyway, so the 7 tricks of the enemy, the narcissist, the toxic relationship within ourselves. You know, it's like, why did I believe before in a ghoster? I got ghosted this one time, and it just brought up all of the times in childhood that I was ever rejected, that I had buried below. And so thank God now it's a gift. All of our triggers can be our teachers if you stop letting them define you as I'm worth being someone walking out of my life and just giving me no explanation after I open my heart to this person, right? And it's just like, no, that's not my worth. That person, and I said that from the beginning, but I had to discover that. It took me 4 years to go through this dark night of the soul to get to this video, right? And so when you stop being hooked in and identifying yourself, see, they're telling me my real reality. No, they're telling you a lie. And when you stop believing the lie in yourself, then it won't resonate anymore. It's like that. It's like, no, I'm never going back to someone teaching me that lie. Now, if people change and if they're different people, then fine, you know, you'll be able to discern that because you've developed discernment by letting go of the lie. There's a lot of stuff, but you're worth it. You're worth all this truth. I know you can handle it. That's why I'm giving you this truth, right? Okay, so 7 tricks of the narcissist is 1, they will keep gaslighting you so that they can keep using you. Just think of the typical, you know, it's often a man in the story, but women can do this too. And they're like, you're no good, you're nothing, no one's ever gonna, I don't even like saying those things, but whatever they say, they put you down or they hit you. It gives them an excuse to be able to hit you because they're just trying to hit out their own rejection. And I'm not excusing it, but they gaslight you. What? I didn't say any of that. No, I think you're the best. You know, they'll, but so this is number 1. That's why I was doing this. This is number 1 on this. They keep gaslighting you because then, if they keep saying no one will like you, and then they act like they're not saying that, then they can keep you around to keep using you for whatever way they have to use you for. And you're worth a lot more than being used by someone. You're not meant to be objectified. Stop using yourself by diminishing, by objectifying yourself, by just saying, I am this label, I am worth rejecting. No, you're a soul. You're a soul with a name. Rise, open your soul eyes. There's a rose and the swan, right? You're meant to fly. You're not an ugly duckling. Who said so? Who said that? You know, that's in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory too. She's like, who said I can't have an Oompa Loompa? The man with the funny hat. All right. And so the other number 2, so this is the 7 tricks of the enemy or the narcissist, same system. And the ruling systems in our lives and the popularity system will do this too, is like, oh no, you have to have this in order to be worth something. You have to have this many followers and this many likes and blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, another reason they do that is to keep you dim, because then you're not a threat. Then they can just keep, when you turn the light up in yourself and you know yourself as love, as God in you, right? Emmanuel, God in us, God with us. When you know yourself as what Jesus says, look it up. He said this. He was just speaking to people. He says, you are the light of the world. And John 1:9 says, this is the light that lights every human being upon this earth. Okay, so know that light, and learn how to start turning it up, and don't be ashamed of turning it up. And now sometimes when the light turns up, it's like all this stuff might come up, right? Like I just did this and it looked like I had a double chin for a second, and I don't. But it's like all this stuff might come up. But when you know yourself as, I'm a soul here, it doesn't matter what part of my past or what ugly things that I've done in the past, or how I've been mean to other people out of my own rejection, or how I missed out on years and years. And there's all these verses that people say about, I think it's Proverbs 3, 4, or 34. But something about how when you catch the enemy, he has to pay you back 7 times. And another verse about the locusts, about how you'll be repaid for the years that have been stolen from you. And so I'm standing on that truth. Now, I know it sounds like a fairy tale, but I'm seeing Jack and the Beanstalk right now. He got the beans, and it took him up to his castle, up to the castle. And when you read that story, I recommend reading that story in the Blue Fairy book. I think it's in the Blue Fairy book, so that's free online. It says it was his dad's castle. It was his father's castle. So it was his own stuff. He was only reclaiming the love that he always was, but he was taught a lie, and the giant had taken over. If you know anything about giants, then go study that. But anyway, so it's to keep your light down, because when you turn your light up, it's all the cockroaches have to leave, and they don't want to see their own bad because they don't know they're worth more. All the narcissists are, and even the enemy of our soul, the devil, Satan, the accuser, doesn't know his real worth. He bought into a lie, and he's like, I'm all that, I'm better than God. And so he fell, and because it's not real knowing, and he'll just constantly. I watched this really, really excellent, informative video yesterday, and another one from this exorcist, and he was talking about the devil just wants you to feel the same insecurity and anxiety that he's always feeling, because he doesn't know when he's going to get broadsided, right? So he's just like the epitome of egotism, right? So just be in presence, be in this deep, aware presence, like the wind, right? Like just love. Okay, and so they want to keep you dim. This is trick number 3, is because then you're not outshining them. They don't want you to outshine them. So they don't want you to shine because you expose the darkness. They don't want to see it. They don't want you to see it. They don't want anyone to see it, because they have to keep pretending like they're perfect. And I have this definition of a narcissist that's like, that I learned from someone else in this article. I'm the piece of crap that the world revolves around. That's their inner mentality, whether they know it or not. So that's why they're so charismatic, because they have this necessity, because they internalize such a low value of themselves that they have to keep having people around them telling them how great they are. Okay, and so they want to keep you dim. So also, this is number 3, that you don't outshine them, but stay useful to them, right? And then 4, another trick of the enemy, when you don't know your worth. So I said they derive their identity from egotism, and so they're always insecure, and they try to make you feel the same, because misery loves company. And my friend Elliot had a song called Miss Misery, MISS period, misery. And do you miss misery? Do you miss me? Do you miss misery? It's able to be a miser with love is miserable, right? You're withholding love. When you believe the old rejection lie, it's just a lie. You don't have to believe it anymore. Until today, a guy named Matt Schaefer taught me that. Until today, I believed in that. You don't have to believe in it anymore. Not anymore. Now, when I say someone, it's not that I recommend necessarily everything they've ever said. You know, I'm not saying that, but I've gotten, like, let's say, so much from Eckhart Tolle. But even he was saying something about Stephen Hawking today, and he's like, I'm not saying he was enlightened, but he had surrendered to his disease and wasn't in any kind of pity party about it. And so it was so weird to see Eckhart Tolle say, I'm not saying he was enlightened. I don't think he was. I don't think he was spiritually enlightened, but it was like, but he was spiritually enlightened in this one area. And so, like, I always, every truth that people teach us, I celebrate that, right? Okay, so they want you to be in this misery with them. So they would try to hook you in and tell you you're worthless and bring you down with them, because that's their identity is all built on that. Okay, so number 5 is when you don't know your worth, you stay dependent on the narcissist, and they love this because you'll try to leave, you know, just like Ike and Tina Turner in that story, in that movie, What's Love Got to Do with It, about her life. It's like, you know, you need me. It's like this thing of like, he felt this grandiose temporary self-importance, because every time she left, he was the one that was holding the money bags, right? The purse. And so it's like, he keeps saying, you'll be out on the street, you won't have anything, no one will like you, I'm the reason that you're, and so it's like, it keeps inflating. All you have to know about the narcissist is they're just like a balloon that wants to keep being inflated. And when you keep trying to feed this temporary, you keep taking the temporary quick fix because you don't know your worth more, all right? Don't beat yourself up. But when you keep going to the addiction, you just keep blowing this temporary sense of yourself up, but it leaves you hollow inside and empty. And you're meant to know your real worth. Then you're just vibrating love all the time. You're this, right? And so, you're dependent on them. Okay, and then that's the trick that I put number. Oh yeah, no, that's right. Okay, so that inflates their temporary sense of self-worth. It's not loving them, actually. So you think, oh, I have to stay around because I'm so afraid of rejection. I don't want to reject anyone. You're not doing them a service to temporarily inflate their sense of worth. That's not loving. That's codependent. That's being their addiction. That's all. And you're worth so much more than being someone's addiction, right? Going back and forth on the highs and the lows. Okay, and so number 6, the trick of the narcissist, so we don't fall for any of these, and so that we know the 7 reasons why we ought to know our worth, and the 7 reasons, the 7 tricks of the enemy or the narcissist or the abuser, the toxic relationship, whatever, or that old voice that we internalize inside that you don't, once you practice this at home, is stop listening to that voice. There's a verse that says, take every thought captive to Christ. You know, all of you, Jesus said this, all of you who are weary and heavy laden, come unto me and I will give you rest. And you can meditate on Psalm 23. If you're Jewish and you know the Old Testament or the scriptures and the Psalms and the prophets, you can focus on Psalm 23, the Lord, the I am that I am, the I amness that created everything, the cosmos created me, is my shepherd. Therefore, I lack nothing. I lack nothing. That's why we put the first commandment first. C.S. Lewis said it like this: when you aim for heaven, you get everything else thrown in. Like you get earth thrown in. But when you aim for earth, you don't get heaven or earth. So the narcissist and the devil and toxic relationships and this old lie is always going for something better on the earth. And you're allowed to have the eternal. You can have eternal life. You can get into the chocolate factory and it can be yours, right? And that's yours here, because look how much happier my life is. Go look at 4 years ago what my videos were like. If you want evidence, right, follow that chain of events. My life is genuinely happier now because I stopped listening to that lie that got awakened by a person that chose to ghost me. And I also was going through a divorce. Like it's a long story, but we don't have to go into all that. But it's like, so, you know, you can feel this long years of rejection in a relationship that wasn't the healthiest that it could have been, right? And you kept trying to make it work, but you can't make it work by trying to feed a narcissist, or them trying to feed the narcissist in you, or trying to convince you. No one can convince you that you're not worth rejecting. You have to choose to let go of that lie. That lie, it's like it took a seed in your life, and you need to ask God to clean out that lie, you know, with God's help. With man, it is impossible. With God, all things are possible. Burn that up. I'm seeing the top of Mount Sinai because he burned something that God made the mountain set on fire. Anyway, I was watching some video that was talking about finding this mountain, the real Mount Ararat, not Ararat, Mount Sinai. Yeah, anyway. And how it was burnt on the top. It was like this charcoal on the top of the mountain that was different than the other rocks. It was super cool. Anyway, when you don't know your worth, you keep doing anything. And I wrote down C.S. Lewis, no, Latoya Okeia, O-K-E-I-A. I love her, right? Now, I always say, like, I just pray that everyone stays on this high and narrow path, right? But she's taught me so much. She calls this tap dancing for the devil. Like, how often did I tap dance for the devil before? I had one foot in that, trying to get my worth this way, one foot foot in knowing my worth this way. And so a house divided against itself can't stand. Look at how the enemy of our soul, or the narcissist, tricks us. You can't activate your gifts and really be fruitful and be going. You stay lukewarm when you're trying to get your worth from the world and you're trying to get your worth from God. It keeps you stagnant and unfruitful. You will know them by their fruits, right? You're meant to produce great fruit just by being the rose that you are. Rise, open your soul eyes. All right, we're wrapping this up. So when you don't know your worth, then you keep doing anything which compromises yourself and takes us to places where we're disrespecting ourselves and then disrespecting others. You know, it's like if we disrespect ourselves and we don't value chastity, let's say, and then because we don't know that we can, like God will help us, and like all of that energy can be used for loving other people and for being a powerful force in this earth, right? When you get the gift, the time to be in a chaste life, when you don't know that, then you find some person and it's convenient to be in a relationship, and then you're like, oh, well, I'll just hook up with this person, and then you end up getting pregnant and having a child. Then this person bails because they don't want the responsibility, because they take shortcuts and you both took shortcuts together, and then this child doesn't have a loving parent, you know. And there's always adoption, and there's always, you can learn, and today's a new day, and we can take U-turns, and that child, like, we can love that child, and whatever has happened to us. This is a truth that kept coming back to me this week. I learned from someone who lost a loved one when he was young. He lost a sibling. The same person is grown up now and a wise man in a lot of areas, and he told me once, and I remember this, it's like anything bad that's happened to you, God will give you the grace. It says in Isaiah, and Jesus quoted this too, it's like, I came to heal the brokenhearted, to set the captives free. Enough trust. Trust is hard when you felt rejected all the time, but trust that enough love can flow to you to heal anything bad that's happened to you, right? All right, and so your heart can be completely healed. It's a lie that it can't be. That's the narcissist, that's the enemy trying to keep you not fruitful, okay? So whatever has happened in your past, whatever shortcuts you've taken, that's why I'm teaching this video, so that you don't fall prey to any of these things. When you don't know your worth, you keep doing anything to try to please the unpleasable. And I wrote a little thing right here to remind myself, it's a black hole. You cannot fill up the emptiness of someone trapped in their egotism. They don't know themselves. They're not connected to the source of all being, which is God. They don't know themselves as connected to this. They don't know themselves as redeemed. So no matter what, you can temporarily, it seems like it, just like if I did some sort of drug, you know, it would temporarily make me high, but then I end up lower and in more shame and more dependent, because I didn't use that time to get really strong in my life. And so, and then I put, you compromise yourself for their temporary approval. It's dopamine high for you, because you compromise yourself and you get a high, and then they're like, yes, I just got to use you and I felt great in that moment. You got me to escape from my own pain and misery, because you're in the wrong system. You need to just switch. It's like switching from PC to Mac. Right? We got to come up with a good acronym for Mac. From politically correct, you know, whatever, to Mac, you know, made in the image of God and cherished, right? And I'm not trying to promote anyone. I'm just saying, when you're in this old operating system of lack, of rejection, then you're not knowing the truth, and you're staying in low vibrations. And Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same energy that created. If you keep living on this first floor, and you're meant to live on the 7th floor, looking out at the whole world. I'm on top of the world, looking down at the people. Anyway, that's an old 70s song. Get it? Another 7. And so 777, all right, is down on creation. It's a dun 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 dun. It's a Carpenter song, I think. So when you keep looking from this first floor perspective, you can't see the answers. Like, it's a miracle that this video came into your life, and it's not just a miracle. It's like, we have guardian angels. They're of a higher frequency than us, right? And It says that, Jesus says that when he says their guardian angel is and don't put down one of these little ones. Anyway, because their guardian angel is in heaven next to God. And so this number 6, this trick will keep you in this low vibration, keep you trying to jump through imaginary hoops, and because you please them temporarily, and then it looks like the relationship works, but it's not. It's based on something. In this book, actually, there's a book on chapter 8 called From Toxic to Enlightened, from Enlightened Relationships. And I started talking about it the other day on a live, so you can look at what I said. But anyway, so number 7 is the last one. Is oh wow, because I forgot. I just wrote it like an hour ago, but I forgot what I had put down. Is put down. Stop putting yourself down. Lift up. Higher than any eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings, right? This is what this one is about. The 7th and last trick that we're going to talk about today, I could probably go on for the next 2 hours, that the narcissist uses is when you don't know your worth, the narcissist will keep you on this constant loop. And I put like a chicken, like you're always a chicken and never an eagle. Like you're always singing about that longing, somewhere over the rainbow. I have somewhere over the rainbow. I put on here for what my friend, when she lost a loved one. So someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. Anyway, you can wake up right now. Wake up right now. Jesus is always teaching us, in other words, to wake up. All right, I wish you love. Thank you for being here. Make sure to subscribe and share and like and watch my videos to the end. That helps the algorithm, and whatever other ways you'd like to give back. I appreciate it. I wish you love. Stop being rejected, because you're worth it. You're worth love.